world, Nene with the pen. Some days are high, some days are low. Struggling to get out of bed, depression is all that I know. My mood changes just like the forecast goes. Every day my attitude switches, it depends on the way the wind blows. See, this is not where I want to be. Comparing myself to others is doing nothing but attacking me. See, this depression is more than a session. It's more than a season. It seems to be no reason. It caused me to stop believing in myself and my goals. My family, my friends, the people that I call my woes. See, this is called isolation. If you play that card, I promise you'll fold. I never get out of bed or take off the blindfolds. See, depression is like falling in a well. But when you're stuck in that place, there is no wishing well. It's like you're allowed to get out that place. Feeling so low, there is no saving grace. So is it caused by love, or maybe even death? These are just a few things that can make you feel depressed. Teary eyes and headaches, I'm so tired of feeling stressed. Searching all over for help so I won't feel depressed. Rock out before we start the show.
Since you've been away, boy, I ain't got no plan. No, 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 no. So the sound of the rain against my window is slowly driving me insane. I'm going down. I'm going down. Oh, but you ain't alright. Oh, well, sometimes. Oh, baby. Oh, 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 oh.
According to the National Institution of Mental Health, depression, which is also called depressive disorder or clinical depression, is a common but serious mood disorder. It causes severe symptoms that affect how you feel, think, and handle daily activities, such as sleeping, eating, or working. Depression is a common mental disorder. Globally, an estimated 350 million people of all ages suffer from depression. More women are affected by depression than men. And at its worst, depression can lead to suicide. Approximately 20% of teens experience depression before they reach adulthood. Today, we sit down with Takia Proctor.
Depression, I get depressed a lot sometimes. I wake up every day, and sometimes I'm just depressed by waking up from my environment. Since I was 15, 16, I've been struggling to take care of myself, but while doing that, making sure everybody else is happy. I get to the point where sometimes I'm fed up. I just don't understand why I'm here. Like, what's my purpose?
It's your boy Dwayne Michael, and thank you for tuning into another episode of Teens World. Today we're going to talk about something that is very, very important and happens a little bit too much inside of our community. Over 20% of teenagers will experience some type of depression before they reach adulthood. In our intro video, you guys saw someone who was very, very important to us, Mrs. Proctor. We wanted to have her in set today, but Unfortunately, she couldn't make it. So I reached out to someone else that was very, very close to us, Mrs. London Savoy, who you guys all know, and you guys have all heard that beautiful voice. London, how you doing today?
I'm finding yourself. How are you?
I'm doing just great. And thank you so much for coming on the show today and to open up and talk about this epidemic that we really have going on in this world today. So
No problem.
we talked offset in our green room about some of the things that you have experienced. So let's talk about depression. At what age or when did you first realize that you first was going through some type of depression?
I believe when I was younger at 8, and then
You said 8?
yes,
Very young.
8. But I really didn't start realizing it until I actually got into a therapy, and they was telling me different things about what I had and what I was experiencing was real. So I really didn't understand much, but experiencing that was like the I don't know, I can't do
It was a lot.
Yeah, it was
I
a
can
lot.
understand. So let me ask you, at 8 years old, tell me, what are some of the things that you were going through that made you think, or to make you think that you were going through depression or that you needed some type of help?
I experienced a lot of blackouts, different situations. I found myself being standoffish. I found myself getting into a lot of trouble at times, but then I used to box, so I used to try to get into everything, all types of activities to try to take my mind off of it.
What was going on at home that was making you feel low or angry or upset or any of the symptoms that can come up?
I experienced things with my stepfather, my mom, and losing my dad at the same time. So molestation, things like that, rape at the same time. So I was experiencing a lot and still trying to take care of home and still trying to live my life as a teenager, you know what I'm saying, growing. So, yeah.
Did all those things that you were going through, was that the force behind you getting into music?
It was.
And it helped you get rid of some of the pain?
I mean, I'm still going through it now.
Right.
I'm still going through it now. It takes steps. It's not an overnight thing, It's a process. So, I mean, if anybody said they got over it quick, they have to be lying. So, yeah, they have to be.
What was your lowest low?
My lowest low was losing my father and having to leave my brothers and sisters in that same house, with that same man. So, yeah.
Now, you talked about briefly, and I don't mean to overstep any boundaries, but I do want to talk about that. You said with your with your stepfather and your mother, and you mentioned molestation.
Yes.
How was that telling your mom what was going on, or did you tell somebody what was going on? How was that?
When you realize that people starting to see, like my brother knew, my little brother knew, but it wasn't much we can do because when you're in love, they really don't see a lot of things clear, and they think you don't understand love. They think that, you're just a child or you just don't get it yet. And I did tell my mom, and that was a different, honestly, that was a different response that I didn't think that would happen. And then when everything came out,
What was the response?
we had to kind of hide a lot of things. We had to kind of hide, and then I went to church. I prayed, I prayed about it.
What's your relationship now?
We're working on it. I'm still working on forgiving. I'm still working on building that relationship still, because that's still my mom at the end of the day.
Right.
She still birthed me, so I still have that respect for her, but it's a growing process.
Right.
It's a growing process.
That seems like a lot, and I know it had to be very, very difficult for you to have that conversation. And it sounds like she wasn't believing you all the way, or she didn't want to believe you because of the relationship that she had with your stepfather. Are they still together?
No, he's deceased now. Yeah, it kind of.
Well, listen, we're gonna take a break. I see it's a lot going on right now, and we are here for you, and that's the whole purpose of this show. This whole purpose of this show is to inform and educate, never to exploit anything. But I'm glad that you came on Teens World today, because I have some phenomenal help. Coming on next is gonna be Brittany Mayo. Brittany Mayo is one of the best therapists who I know, and we're gonna talk about some of these coping skills and talk about some of the things that we can do to get you some help, because we are a family. It's all just one of us, okay?
Yes,
It's your boy,
thank you.
Dwayne Michael. We'll be back in a second.
My father, that's my heart. He left me when I was younger, and I somewhat hold a grudge for him for that. Because I feel like, my mother passed away and you was the only person for me. But he left me to go decide to run the streets. But I'm learning today not to judge him for that and love him for who he is. Everybody make mistakes.
What's going on, young world? It's your boy Dwayne Michael, and we are back. First of all, London, I just want to say thank you so much. The things that you shared with us were so deep, and I think they touched everyone. Every single viewer out there, everyone in here, it was just very deep. And that's why I wanted to bring on someone today who I trust very deeply, which is Miss Brittany Mayo. Mrs. Brittany Mayo is a psychotherapist. We do a lot of work together in the school system, in the community. She's just a phenomenal person. So, Brittany, I need some help right now. Okay. Depression, these are things that we're talking about. So, talk about some of the things that you can see for yourself. That some of the things that if you're going through these are some triggers that you may see that say, okay, I may be depressed. Can you go over some of those things with you? Like, is it crying, laying in bed too much, not being able to get up?
Yes, those are some of the symptoms. A few of the other symptoms are maybe a loss of appetite. Maybe you have a decline in interest in activities that used to interest you. Maybe you really have sporadic crying spells, in a time where it's not necessarily a time to cry. A loss of energy and fatigue, tiredness, loss of friends, sometimes anger. When we're younger and we don't know what's going on with our bodies, we can respond with anger, especially at school or towards our parents. Those are some of the signs that you saw.
Some of them, yeah.
So, Brittany, let me ask you. So, London said earlier that she noticed at 8 years old. So, in your work, in your field, what do you see that an 8-year-old may go through that are giving different signs of depression?
Well, it can be very difficult because when we're children, we're growing. Our bodies are changing. Our personalities, we're kind of coming into it. So sometimes we don't really know what's considered normal and what's abnormal for us. And so it looks different in each and every child. I think one thing that's very important is reaching out to an adult and letting them know that something doesn't feel right. And it sounds like you did that. And it's really unfortunate when adults don't think that our children's feelings are valid. And so that's really unfortunate. But I think that there's no one, set of characteristics that we're going to see in one child versus the other.
Yeah.
What's some coping mechanisms? Like, how do we get through this? You know what I mean? I mean, that's the biggest thing that we want to figure out is like, how do I get out of this state of being depressed, of feeling low? Obviously, I know the first thing is to seek help. I'm assuming, but beyond that, like, because we know that it's a stigma that we live in. People don't want to accept the fact that I'm going through something really in my life. We know that in African Americans, when it comes to mental health, it's a huge stigma where we think we can pray it away, or we think that this is not real. So talk about that.
Some of the coping skills are, like you said, Dwayne, seeking help first, just talking to somebody, finding other people that might be going through a similar situation. One thing that I want you to know is that everybody has a story that will break your heart. Everybody. And so when you reach out and you hear what other people have gone through and maybe some of the things that have worked for them, then that can kind of help you in your story, kind of pushing through. Also, a lot of physical activity. I heard you mention that you were boxing. Physical activity is really good when going through depression. In your case, it sounds like you had a lot of trauma as well, which is different. So that's one thing that you must realize. When we're dealing with trauma and when we're dealing with depression, sometimes your coping mechanisms won't look the same, and you need to really apply whichever coping mechanism is going to address the symptom that you're going through at that moment. A few other coping mechanisms are a lot of guided imagery and meditations. So what you can do, anyone at home can do it. You can just get on YouTube and you can type in positive guided imagery meditations, and I love them. When you're going to bed, you can listen to them, before you go to sleep, and you can listen to them when you wake up. Those are really great for times when you're really feeling sad and down.
That's amazing. That's some great information right there that we really needed. Now, London, I know that you spoke about earlier. May I ask, have you ever been diagnosed before?
Yes, I have.
How was
recently?
Recently. So
Yes.
how was that taking that diagnosis? Because I know that there's a big thing about people not wanting to be labeled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the big thing going on.
I was one of them.
That was
I
a
was
big-
I was really one of them, to be honest. I didn't want to hear it. I was like, this is too much. This is too. You saying too much. You know what I'm saying? And I think it made me angry because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. And then facing your problems head on is like the ultimate. So it's like, yeah, me finally, experiencing it and having to talk about it. It's like, oh God, because when you hold things in a lot, it's like, what can you do? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Oh my goodness, so I'm guessing. So again, as I say, like you have taken all this that you've gone through, and I mean, because that voice is like something. I mean, it's just so amazing. And
It's a beautiful.
And I guess they say that behind every single beautiful voice, there's really a big story on the back end that we never even know about or we don't talk about whatsoever.
Yes.
That's deep.
That's true. Very
Yeah.
true.
That's
Very
absolutely
true.
crazy. So listen up. We're gonna take a break really quick, and when we come back, we're gonna finish out with some more information. Brittany, are you okay? Can you stay here for just a little bit longer and
Yes.
talk about some things? Because I know I'm going through some things too in my own life. I mean, being an entrepreneur and some other things that I go through, and I know that I go through some form of depression in some way or another. And I mean, I know that for a fact. There's days where I don't want to get out the bed. There are days when I know for a fact when some business deals don't go down the way that they have in the past, the only way I would deal with pain is to sleep. And I would just sleep I would like, for the rest of the day, I'm just going to take 2 hours away. So we're going to come back and we're going to talk about, as we have both matriculated in business, what are some of those trials and tribulations that have happened? And Brittany, you can give us some more advice.
Okay.
Wonderful. This is your boy, Dwayne Michael. We'll be back very soon. What's going on, young world? It's your boy, Dwayne Michael, and we're back again. Brittany, thank you so much. You're giving us like just some phenomenal information that we need, that professionalism, you know what I mean? Like the actual information. London, I mean, you've been holding so strong for us throughout this whole episode, and I really, really appreciate it. So, what's getting you through it right now? What does make you get through every single day?
I'm still processing it. I'm still getting through it each day, praying. My team, just support, having the people around you to support you and to be there and guide you the right way that you wasn't guided before.
Yeah.
So that gets you through it all. And like you said, meditation, I try that, but I gotta. It's different ones with 15, 7 minutes. So just trying it.
And it takes
helps.
practice.
Yes.
That's one thing, because we have a hard time. Our brains are constantly moving. So we have a hard time truly being still. And so you have to just keep trying. And that's why I say maybe do it twice a day, maybe even 3 times a day. What I do personally is I even set my alarm in my phone. I have a busy day, constantly moving, constantly getting phone calls, people stretching me. I need to be here, I need to be there. But sometimes you have to put yourself first. So you might need to set alarms in your phone, like, okay, I'm going to meditate at 10 a.m., at 12 p.m., at 2 p.m., and then that way you stick to it. You take the time. Maybe you can start with maybe 3 minutes.
Okay.
That's a little shorter. And then you can extend it out as you become better with it. Other different physical activities like yoga can help you with your mindfulness. And there's different steps too to meditating. Maybe that's why I said Google guided imageries on YouTube.
Okay.
Because those actually allow your brain to move. So when you're just meditating and you're trying to be still, your brain's trying to move and you're telling it, no, don't move. But when you're doing a guided imagery, it's telling you what to think. And it's telling you how to be at peace while you're thinking. Maybe you're just thinking about a walk through a park or a walk to the beach. And that time, while you're being still, can really help you. It can help control your anxiety when you get up. It'll help you feel better, and ready to be productive with your day.
I have a question, because we're giving all the great things to do. What are some of the wrong things to do? What are some of the wrong signs that we see? So maybe we should ask London first, and I want to know the truth. Was there a vice that you had that you thought was helping you get through your depression? Was it something that you were doing? I mean, we hear stories about some people drink it away.
Yep.
Some people want to use marijuana. Some people want to use other type of substances that could be a lot worse. Was there some type of vice you were using to say, I can deal with this by myself, with me in this, I can deal with this by myself?
Yes, I did. I did used to drink, but I had to completely stop.
Man, we don't want to mess that voice up.
No, not at all. So yeah, I did. I used to use it to get numb. So you know, everybody go to something to get numb and to think that that's gonna make it better. But the next day you still have to deal with that same problem.
The problem doesn't go away.
Yeah.
Brittany, what are some of the negative things or some of the wrong things that you see in your field that people do to deal with depression or anything else that's going on in their life?
Mostly drugs and alcohol. Even at a very young age, which you'll see also as a sign that a child might be depressed, is the use of drugs and alcohol, maybe even starting, I've seen it as young as 10 years old. So, you know.
But also, as I've read, that self-harm is another thing that happens.
Yeah.
I mean, because they say that, if I'm correct, depression is one of the leading causes to teenage suicide. It's something that happens way too often. So I know that, and people self-harm, I mean, cutting their wrist, something that's very big, thinking that you're worth. Is it something that you see often?
Often?
Or hear about?
Well, of course, yes. Some people do harm themselves. Alcohol and drugs is another form of self-harm, but some people are cutting their wrists or cutting their arms. Sometimes it's the result of depression. Other times maybe not. You see the self-harm come along with the depression.
Yeah. I mean, this is so deep and this is so real. And again, London, I just want to thank you so much for coming out today. Brittany, you did a phenomenal job. That was absolutely amazing. And this is information that we all need. I mean, this is what Teens World is about. Teens World is about us being one family, us coming together on this set. And,
Absolutely.
you know, it takes a village to raise a family. I mean, it really does. I think the number one problem that we have right now is that we're not talking about these issues. Everybody's walking around assuming that they're the only person going through it. And I'm sure that people look at Mrs. London and they see this beautiful voice and they see how you're just able to hit notes that no one else can hit, and they think that the story has been so beautiful. Like it's just one big rainbow throughout your whole life. So I just thank you so much for coming on here today, sharing this story, and we just really pray that it's going to help somebody. And listen, anybody, if you're going through any problem, please give us a call. Reach out to me. Contact the Dream Academy. You can contact that number at 410-206-7025. It is the best mental health therapeutic company in the world. Mrs. Brittany works for there right now, and we do a lot of great things. So we're coming to the end of our show, and we're headed to my favorite part. My favorite part is the talent of the week. I love it. That's where we highlight some of the most phenomenal people in the world, and I got a special guest for you today. I got London Savoy, who's going to jump back. Then I brought back Lee, and then as well, Miss Ariel is going to be on that guitar. She's going to do some amazing things. So I thank you guys so much, and we're going to head out. We're going to do the buzz of the week, and we're going to do the talent part. It's Teens World, Dwayne Michael. Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
As a psychotherapist working in a school with teens between the ages of 14 and 16, I find depression to be quite common. It often presents as a lack of interest in something that once interested the student. Oftentimes it might be quitting a sport or a favorite hobby. Other signs and symptoms that I notice are sometimes just crying spells, whether in class or while just talking to friends. Another thing that happens is a decline in academic performance. Their grades that might have been once A's and B's are now C's and D's.
I know you hear me out there. Oh yeah. Take it again, say. Hands in the
What's going on, young world? And I hope you guys are excited as I am. I mean, that talent was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, Ariel and London together, that's something crazy. So,
Dynamic.
we in the buzz of the week. Brittany, take it away. Tell me something.
Today is really, really simple. Make sure you stay comfortable. Whatever you choose to put on, especially with the weather changing in and out, make sure you're comfortable in not only the skin that you're in, but the clothes that you choose to wear. That's the fashion tip of the week.
That's the fast tip of the week. Listen, everyone, I want to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart for everyone for tuning in today. Today's episode was very, very deep. We had tears come out. This is something that's very, very important. We have this big stigma when it comes to mental health and in our world today. We need to end it. If you need help, get help. If you need help, get help. We have the village that's going to help you raise a family. This is your boy, Dwayne Michael. This is Teens World. This is Miss B. We love everybody. We see you next week.